Defining a table in a worksheet. An Excel table is a set of rows and columns containing related information that Excel treats as separate from the rest of the worksheet. The key feature that is gained by defining a table is that you can sort and filter the data within the table without changing the rest of the worksheet. This can be very handy at times. A defined Excel table is kept largely separate from the rest of the worksheet, has sorting and filtering enabled, can have a total row automatically inserted that can do a lot more than just display the column totals. While it may be called a total row, you're not limited to just column totals. For any column, the total row can automatically display averages, counts, max or mins, sums, sample standard deviations, and sample variance. So how do we define an Excel table? You first need to select the cells that will define your table. You're also allowed to select one row of headings. So I will select the rows from A4 to H15. In the Home tab, under the Styles group, you will click on Format as Table. Then you have a choice of different cell styles you can choose. So let's choose Light 10. The Format as Table dialog box will appear, and it just highlights with a flashing dash line to make sure that you have selected the correct cells. And also make sure if your table has headers that your checkbox is checked. Okay. Once you've completed these steps, Excel will display the Format as Table dialog box just as we did previously. Now let's look at the table that's defined by Excel. Notice a little bit of difference. On our headings now, there's little drop down arrows. So if you look at the drop down arrow beside T5 for my temperatures, it shows that we have some options. If I want to sort it from largest to smallest, it sorts the entire row based on our column G. Notice that the entire table has been rearranged, not just the T5 column. The rows in a table are kept together during a sort. The button next to T5, notice, has been changed. It now shows a small down pointing arrow as a reminder that the table has been sorted in descending order on the values in column T5. Notice our check column out here on the right has not been changed. The changes made to the table did not impact anything outside the table. Let's go ahead and click back inside the table and add the total row. To do that, just select any cell inside the table, right click, down to the table option, and then totals row. Let's add a totals row to our T5 column. So when you click in that column, in that cell, in this case cell G16, a drop down arrow occurs and it shows our different selections when you click on it. We can calculate the average, max, mins, sums, standard deviation, variance, and even more functions as we need. So let's click on the max value. So it will show me the max value in cell in the column T5. And you can do this for any of the columns. Once you're done sorting and making your calculations on your table, you need to deactivate it usually, convert it back to regular cells. To do that, right click anywhere inside the table, select table, and then it's what we call convert to range. Pop-up window says, are you sure? And you say yes. Notice now the table is no longer formatted as a table, but it kept the cell predefined formatting. When you eliminate the table definition, the formatting remains, and the cells contain the same values they held before the table is converted back to a range. That is, any sorting you did to the table remains, and if the table was filtered, any data hidden by the filtering process is restored when the table definition is eliminated.